The LA fires rage on. Spencer and Heidi just announced that they plan on suing the state of California after losing their home in the Palisades fire. More and more stars start to speak out against the leaders here in California. We have some Housewives updates and a lot to get into. So let's get it. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Hi, guys. Happy Monday. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. I hope everybody is healthy and safe and happy. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. You are thebomb.com. Thebomb.com. Sorry, I just got a text message. Oof. Okay. So much has gone on in this past week. I mean, starting off the new year, we're only on the January 13th. And so far, it's just been quite the trepidatious year. But the good news is it seems like the fires are to some degree getting more and more contained. As of this morning, the Eaton fire has been 33% contained, and the Palisades fire is 14% contained. It's already at 24,000 acres burned for the Palisades fire, but at least all the other ones, the Hearst fire, the Sunset fire, the Calabasas fire, all of those continue to get put out. So that's a good thing. That's a positive thing, right? That's a good start and step in the right direction. I know a lot of people are still hypercritical of our leaders, specifically Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. We'll get into some of that today as some of the stars are speaking out against them, and some of them are also getting heat for speaking out against them. But yeah, we'll get into that. But couple of important updates. The fires are getting contained. People are getting there's a lot of community happening in Los Angeles right now. The skies are a lot clearer. In fact, the sky looks completely clear in comparison to last year, where there was just all of that black smoke. Remember, there was just like that thick cloud of black smoke everywhere. Here's a photo from my apartment. Last Wednesday morning, there was just that big, thick black smoke. I'm happy to say that smoke is completely gone. It seems like as the fires continue to get put out, the air quality is starting to get better little by little. A lot of people are still displaced. They've lost homes. They're in shelters right now. But I will say the amount of people that have showed up and have been bringing supplies and making donations, like that's been incredible. I know a lot of people over the weekend sent me Venmos. Today, my mother and she was collecting donations at her coffee shop over the weekend. And then today, with the donations that people sent in, we are going to be making runs to bring supplies to other victims of the Eaton fires. And I think we may put together some care packages for firefighters. My friends at BioRay sent in they have this product called Primary Detox. And so I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, is there something we can give firefighters to kind of just like help with the poor air quality and the poor water quality in LA right now? Like, is there something we can take? And they're just like, listen, the important thing is you just keep it moving through your system, drink lots of water. So they have a product called Primary Detox. They donated a bunch of bottles that we're going to be taking to different local fire stations. So I'm really grateful to BioRay for that. I'd like to partner with brands that are mindful. And I'm glad that I have a partner like BioRay that's like, listen, what can we do? We're going to get you product, get it into the hands of firefighters. Because I mean, they're the ones that are on the front lines, right? They're the ones that are breathing in all of this smoke. So I think we'll put together a couple of care packages with the Venmo donations that people have sent in. We'll use those today. I'll make sure we document it and post on Instagram too. That way you guys can see how your money's being put into action. Grateful to the Canadians, grateful to all the Mexicans that are coming out here. Big love from Canada, big love from Mexico, sending a ton of support to come and help fight these fires. Very grateful for that. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. And, we're getting through this. LA is strong. I'm born and raised here in LA. I know LA. It is strong. We will continue to push forward, and we will rebuild. But it's overwhelming to see the amount of support that we have. Just like seeing the Rose Bowl completely taken over with volunteers and products to give to families that have been displaced. the interesting part is how these next couple of weeks are going to go. And I've already seen some apartment buildings that are skyrocketing prices for rentals for people that are trying to get in somewhere. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks to come, but continue to keep LA in your thoughts and prayers and continue to send all the support that you can. Okay. That said, let's get into the Heidi and Spencer of it all, but I did want to give a quick shout out because I saw you guys have been leaving reviews, and I know some people are like, "Oh my God, Zack, get to the tea!" But I just am so grateful for the support and reviews that you guys have sent. There was a really sweet one that I read this morning. From let's see, where did it go? There was one that I had just read. What was it on? Oh yes, here we go. From Deers Julian says, attorney approved. I'm an attorney and I'm thoroughly impressed with Zack's understanding of the law and ability to interpret and discuss legal topics. I came across Zack when I was looking for a recap of legal claims made in the Baldonian Lively spectacle. His podcast was the perfect in between of the spectrum of YouTuber who has already decided the victim and aggressor with little to no reference to any legal claims made to lawyer who is dry reading every piece of multiple legal documents in a multi-hour live stream. Zack voices his opinion while recognizing their opinions and leaving room for them to adjust with the release of new claims and evidence. I was motivated to write this review, even though I mostly listen on YouTube because I heard Zack mention that he was getting reviews that were calling him a woman-hater. As a leftist and as a feminist, I have yet to get any misogynistic vibes from Zack. If I do, I will certainly update my review and stop being the listener. Having dealt with blatant and undertones of sexism throughout my life, I certainly don't find the need to listen to it willingly in my free time. Until then, I suppose it's worth being said that just because Zack appears to think Blake Lively is a douchebag, my word/interpretation, that doesn't mean that he hates women. It's important to hear women out when they make serious accusations, but that's because it's important to hear anybody out for their serious accusations, regardless of sex, gender, race, class, etc. It's certainly okay to be skeptical of one side more than the other, but try not to light torches before both sides have ample ability to speak and make their case. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Andresny says, here's to reaching the top 10 on Apple iTunes charts. Been enjoying your take from Blake and Justin fiasco. And then we also have Katie who says, thank you for being more than Bravo. Thank you for always giving us the truth. I live in Northern California and the fires we have had have been horrible. Our governor needs to resign. He does not have the best interest of our state. Let's keep being real. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you all. Please keep leaving the reviews. Please, listen, you can leave as many five-star ratings. You can update your reviews anytime. Every time you do, it does help us. Okay, let's dive in. So that I don't waste any more time. Let's talk about Spencer and Heidi. So Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag from The Hills. Remember, there was the show on MTV, The Hills. Lauren Conrad originated from Laguna Beach with Kristen Cavallari and Lauren Conrad. And then we came over to the Hollywood Hills. Lauren pursued a career in fashion. We had Lauren Conrad, Whitney Port, Audrina Patridge, and Heidi Montag. And so Heidi started dating Spencer, and they were like the villain couple of that 2000s era. So here we are all these years later. Spencer and Heidi have done a number of different reality shows. Heidi has continued to push forward her music career. And now we have this update from them because now they live in the Pacific Palisades and they worked very hard, purchased a home, still middle working class, right? They're obviously in a higher income bracket, but they're still working class. You know, they're still not abundantly rich. They don't have, they don't come from uber wealthy families that bought them this house. Like they worked hard for it. They have 2 kids that they're providing for. Yes, they are public figures, but also at the same time, they still, parents trying to provide for their family, right? Well, their house was lost in the Palisades, in the Pacific Palisades fires, and Spencer Pratt was speaking out. He did a live stream with Perez Hilton. Remember from the Blake and Baldoni stuff, Perez Hilton, they dragged him and who goes to Perez Hilton anymore? He's so irrelevant. He hasn't been relevant since the 2000s. Well, Janelle, Blake Lively, or Heidi Montag, not Blake Lively, Heidi Montag and Spencer Pratt, they have announced that they are planning to sue the city of California because Spencer's like, listen, I was documenting everything. I was watching this all unfold on his Snapchat stories. He was posting about it. He was showing the fire up in the hill. And then eventually the fire was getting closer. They had to leave. They had to evacuate. And then they watched their house burn on their Ring camera. I believe they have the Ring camera in front. And are the indoor cameras, are those also considered Ring cameras? I'm not sure. I guess they would all still be considered Ring footage, Ring cameras. But yeah, so he's saying he went on this live and Perez is like, what happened? What's going on? Spencer Pratt says that he absolutely believes that the Palisades fire was arson. He's like, listen, they're trying to say that it was the winds that hit a power line, and then that power line, like, just it was crazy, and that's what started the fire. He's like, there are no power lines up in that hill, right? In the hill that it started, there are no power lines up there. There are no other houses up there. Like, it's literally the middle of nowhere. All of a sudden, this fire comes, it starts taking heat. And he's like, listen, we live next to this water reservoir. So we see the fire department come in and do drills here all the time. He's like, we see them do this all the time. They prepare for it, whatever. So he's like, there was a fire. And then they had the two choppers come and they were trying to throw all the fire retardants and trying to tame the fire. And he said, like, at first, like, it wasn't anything that they were worried about. He told Heidi, like, we're good, we'll be fine, like, they're tending to the fire, it's going to be okay. Next thing you know, they leave, the planes leave. And he said he was told two different things. One, he was told that it was because Biden was coming to town, so therefore there was an airstrike, so no other planes could be in the air because Biden was coming into town. Biden did come into town that Tuesday, so that is possible that there was an airstrike, and so they had to leave. But then he said that they were also told that the winds were part of the reason the planes had to leave as well. And he's like, but it was weird because when they were up there, the winds were exactly the same. They didn't change. It was a little windy, yes, but it wasn't uncontrollable winds when they decided to leave. So he's like, they left. And the next thing you know, as soon as they leave, the fire starts spreading and it starts spreading a lot faster and it's getting a lot closer to the residential homes. And this is when they started to get a little concerned and they started to get worried because they're like, oh shit, now this is becoming like, now this is a crisis. Somebody called Bethany Frankel. And so they got their stuff, they packed up, and then they left, not thinking that they weren't going to be able to come back. But Spencer's like, I was calling 911. I was trying to get the fire department out there. I was trying to get someone to come and tend to this fire because one fire truck could have very easily put this out, but no fire trucks ever came to the Palisades to put out that fire. He's like, we saw it grow, we saw it spread. This was before the winds got really bad. And then obviously as the evening progressed, that's when the wind started picking up and they started getting worse and worse. So then he's like, we literally watched our house burn down on our cameras. No fire trucks ever came. No more planes ever came. Obviously, the planes couldn't come back because the winds at that point were getting too high. But he's like, no fire trucks came. He's like, the reservoir, we live right next to a reservoir where we watch the fire department come and do drills here all the time. He's like, they went to go visit their house afterwards after it had all been burned down. They went back to visit, or he did at least. And he said, the reservoir, he was like, the reservoir's still locked. There's still a lock on it. It's still chained up. Nobody came in. Fire trucks never came to fight this fire. Reservoir was never unlocked. Water was never accessed from this reservoir. Like, it could have totally been put out with a single fire truck, especially with the way that the planes had already been putting the fire retardant to tame the fire. Like, it could have been entirely preventable. Now, why the planes left, if it really was because of the winds or it was because of Biden, I don't know. But regardless, the planes leaving seemed to have affected the fires and the advancement of it. Because a lot of people are saying that this was an electrical fire. And he says he does not believe that this was electrical. He does not believe that this was due to power lines, because the theory is like, oh, the winds came. The winds were so strong that they knocked down the power lines and that's what started the fire. But if you actually put together the timeline, the winds didn't pick up until later in the afternoon, late evening, right? There are no power lines that were up there in that big empty hill space that he was in. A lot of the power lines, people are saying, oh, well, the reason you don't see the power lines up there is because they're underground. And it's like, well, yeah, ding dong. So if the power lines are underground, how did the wind knock them down to the point where they started a fire if they're underground? Doesn't make sense. And so Spencer says he absolutely believes that this was arson, or this was at least a man-made fire in some way, and it took off. The city, or the local authorities, didn't act fast enough. They didn't, do what he was expecting them to do. He's like, we pay so much in taxes expecting that these services are going to be available to us in the state of an emergency. And in this case, that's not what happened. So he says that they have a family attorney and they absolutely plan on suing the state of California in response to their lack of preparation. Like, my thing is this, and we'll get into all the stars because Hollywood now seems to be turning, well, not all of Hollywood, and we'll get into that too. So the interesting thing is, in California, right? I live in Los Angeles. I'm watching this all unfold before my own eyes. In California, there are three things, but mainly two things that we should absolutely always be prepared for above and beyond. That's wildfires and earthquakes. Those are the two things that we should be the most prepared for. Absolute worst case scenario. And somebody reminded, what was it? Someone reminded me of the fires, the wildfire. What was it, Malibu? Remember, there were all the crazy fires in 2018. So in California, we had this big giant fire. I believe it was in Malibu. Remember, Miley Cyrus lost her house, and then remember because she made the song in Malibu, and we built this house together and watched it burn. Remember in her song? So it was the Malibu fires. That was back in 2018. That again looked like the end of the world. It looked like LA. It looked like SoCal was like lit on fire. It was crazy. It was bad. So for me, I'm kind of like, so if we already had that fire in 2018, which is around the same time Newsom came into office, right? Because he was, or I think he came in 2019, because he was like, he just posted that he was celebrating 6 years of being governor of California, 6 years since he took the oath. And so many people are like, you can fuck off, dude. Like, nobody's interested in you right now. Like, everybody thinks that you've handled this so poorly because, again, that was the last big fire was in 2018. So if we're judging this based off of what he's accomplished in the past 6 years, yeah, we're in a state of a crisis because this was mismanaged, obviously. And I know Gavin Newsom has put together this whole, let's fight misinformation. And let me go on Pod Saves America and let me put together a whole website dedicated to fire facts. And so I looked at his Firefax website, which one is not a standalone state-run website. It's a landing page on his campaign website. So he's actively campaigning right now. It's just wild and bonkers to me. But so yeah, a lot of the facts that he has on there, I'm kind of like, well, but this doesn't add up. Like, you're saying that the fire department was the best prepared that it has ever been, and that the water supply was the strongest it's ever been. But it's like, if these things that you're saying are true, then how are we in this dire state that we're in? We've had wildfires in California before. We just came off of the 2018 Malibu fires. It's now 2024, 6 years that we've had to prepare to prevent something this crazy. Everyone keeps saying it's climate change, it's the winds. It's not all to blame on climate change, and it's not all the fucking winds. It's just not. As much as people want to say that, because that's what the news is telling you right now, if you're sitting here watching this unfold before your own eyes, like, that's wild to me that you can literally Barbara from Birmingham wants to come out here and be like, you don't understand how the winds work. I'm like, I understand how the winds work, and I'm not denying that the winds were crazy at all. At all. I'm not denying any of that. I'm not saying that climate change is not real. I'm not saying that the winds didn't contribute to the spread of the Palisades fire, but the winds died down come Wednesday. Wednesday is when the Eaton fire blew up. Wednesday is when the Hollywood Hills fire began. Wednesday is when the Studio City fire began. Thursday is when the Calabasas fire began. So it's like, or Friday. So there was no winds in that 48 to 36 hour period when the fires were continuing to pop up far away from the Palisades. So it's wild to me. So I understand why a lot of people are frustrated. It's not political, but it's like our leaders. I think people have started to politicize this because they're just like, well, our leaders are, let's not criticize them. They're doing the best that they can. They're doing the best that they can. But it's like, they may be doing the best that they can right now, but they should have had the precautions in place to be prepared for another disaster of this level. Fires and earthquakes and mudslides, but like, mudslides are a whole different thing. But like, fires and earthquakes are two things we should absolutely have worst case scenario preparations for at all times, right? My God, now I'm scared if we have a fucking earthquake here in Los Angeles, because I'm like, shit, are we even ready for that? Are we going to be prepared for an earthquake? It's just wild to me. Winds don't cause that quick of a spread, even in forest fires. Barbara from the boonies can stop it. Yeah, I mean, listen, the winds were unprecedented. They were. I'm not going to deny that. But the winds have not been persistent since Tuesday. Like, that's the craziest part of people. Like, don't you understand the winds and the embers? And I'm like, embers don't travel 35 miles. Sorry, they just don't. Especially not when the winds have died down. It's just, and then you see some of like the embers, and they're really like, they were saying that some of the embers were like the sizes of like a golf ball. Those are some big embers. You're gonna tell me that's a little ember that flew all the way to, you know, all throughout the town. They're just like all these embers like all over Los Angeles. Mudslides when the rain's finally coming. Yeah, the mudslides, um, mudslides when it's rainy, fires when it's fire season, and earthquakes. Those are we should always be on guard for that. But yeah, and also nobody's even taking accountability. Like the mayor's not taking accountability, the governor's not taking accountability. Everyone's trying to point the finger and putting it off onto somebody else. And now Hollywood is pissed off. So we had Khloe Kardashian that came out and she defended Chief Kristen Crowley of the LA Fire Department in support of her. And she tweeted out, or she didn't tweet, she posted on her Instagram story, basically dragging Karen Bass. And so she posted a video of Crowley, an interview that Crowley did. And she said, "I stand with you, Chief Crowley. You spoke the truth and had tears in your eyes because I can tell you didn't even want to say that, but it was the truth. Thank you for being honest. Chief Crowley, Mayor Bass, you are a joke." Which I get. I mean, even listen, if you're watching any of these press conferences that Bass and Newsom have been doing, like Karen Bass was like literally smiling the entire time. Like, I don't know if it's like the Botox, because I know that's a thing that if you put Botox in your lower face, then like it flips your smile so that you don't have a frown. But like, my God, it's wild. Every time you see her, she's like, "I understand your devastation and the grief that you were." She looks like the fucking Joker. I'm just like, my God, can you stop smiling for 2 seconds? Karen Dumbass. That's what I call her. Karen Dumbass. That's her name. Karen Dumbass. But so Khloe Kardashian spoke out, and a lot of people are upset with Khloe Kardashian because they're like, "Well, look at your sisters. Your sisters use up so much water. Last year, it looks like Kourtney Kardashian went over her allowed water usage, and look at how much water Kim Kardashian uses, and all of that stuff, right?" Which I get. Um, I get that people are like, "Wow, the Kardashians have used so much water," but like, I want to remind everybody, the Kardashians are not responsible for management of our forests. They're not responsible for brush cleanup. They're not responsible for water power or water pressure or water access during, a state of emergency. They're not responsible for a lot of things. I mean, listen, Gavin Newsom's the first one to overreach, right? Remember in 2020 when he was locking everything down? So Newsom knows how to get things done. He knows how to overreach his power to make sure that we get to accomplish things. His priority was the fucking smelt fish over preparing California. So yeah, not happy with him either. They're calling him Gavin Newscum and Karen Dumbass. Those are their new names. But so Khloe's dragged him, and like people are upset with Khloe and the Kardashians and say that they overuse so much water. But it's like that's not their responsibility. Water regulation, not their responsibility. Making sure that our fire department has enough resources, not their responsibility. Making sure that the brush is cleaned up, not their responsibility. Making sure that we have adequate resources to tame a fire with water, fire retardants, access to reservoirs, access to fire hydrants, all very much not the responsibility of the Kardashians. As gluttonous as they may be, Kardashians not to blame for what is going on here, as much as you want to get angry at them for it, right? Not to defend the Kardashians, but like shit. Then I know a lot of people are bringing up the Resnick family, and they're like, this Resnick family, there's this couple, and they own majority of the water supply. Yes, I don't know how that's regulated. I don't know why they have been able to buy up majority of the water, or why there wasn't access to the water, and what their connection is. Again, above my pay grade. All I know is whatever happened, something fucked up. Somebody is not, nobody's taking responsibility, and somebody fucked up, and somebody was not on top of this and was not prepared for this. And who do we look to? Our leaders that we trust and that we elect to, bring forth that security that we pay taxes for, essentially, these resources that we expect to be available to us in a state of emergency. People are like, well, this is what you voted for. I will proudly say I did not vote for Gavin Newsom. I voted to recall Gavin Newsom, and I did not vote for Karen Bass. I voted for Rick Caruso. So, yeah, listen, LA in a state of emergency. I mean, let's talk about Sara Foster, right? Because Sara Foster, she's from what was that show called? The Netflix show. I just had it in my Sara Foster Netflix show. What was it? Nobody Wants This. Yes. So Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell and Adam Brody. So she tweeted out originally, she said, "We pay the highest taxes in California. Our fire hydrants were empty. Our vegetation was overgrown, brush not cleared. Our reservoirs were emptied by our governor because of tribal leaders wanted to save fish. Our fire department budget was cut by our mayor, but thank God drug addicts are getting their drug kits. Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom resign. Your far left policies have ruined our state and also our party. Fire chief turning on mayor of LA for her failure to do her job. If it triggers you to face the reality that our leaders have failed us by prioritizing absolute nonsense, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not right wing to acknowledge this, but that's low hanging fruit language to label moderate Dems who have common sense. I will not be reprimanded by the far left, the ultimate bullies. I'm not afraid of you. I am a Democrat who's very comfortable staying in the non-delusional Democrat lane, praying we get our shit together as a party, but I won't hold my breath." We have Whitney Cummings who's spoken out, and Whitney said, "If you donate to the Cali fire relief efforts, that's rad, but it's insane that anyone has to donate their hard-earned money to a state that gets so much tax money from its citizens. We've normalized charities and kind people stepping in when the government fails." I agree. It's total failure. Jillian Michaels called for Governor Gavin Newsom to resign. She's been very vocal on her X account. Sarah Michelle Gellar, that's Buffy. Buffy's come out, and Buffy said that she was upset with the gridlock that the state or that the city was in when they're like, everybody has to evacuate, and then they didn't have local authorities on hand to help guide or direct traffic. So much so that people couldn't get out of the Palisades, and people would just stop their car because the fire was coming, and they just got up and left. And people were getting out of their cars and just running. They were taking what they could get, and they were running for their lives to get away from the fires. And they had to bring in these big old trucks to come and move all of the cars out of the way so that the fire trucks could get up to actually put out the fires. So it's wild. It's truly, truly wild. Who Lala Kent spoke out too. She said, she's just like, listen, she's like, Bass gotta go. She's like, I'm a Democrat, I'm liberal, I don't speak out on things I don't know about, but like something is clearly off here, and like Karen Bass has got to go. But the interesting thing is, Yvette Nicole Brown and Kim Whitley, let's see, what have they been in? You've seen these two actresses before, and they did this like TMZ interview. I don't know if it was actually with TMZ, or I think it was TMZ. They did this interview. Okay, so Yvette Nicole Brown, you know her from, she was in Community, Act Your Age. I remember her on Drake and Josh, Good Times, Inside Out 2, DC Hero Girls. So she's done a lot of smaller roles. And then the other one, Kim Whitley. Kim, I believe, I remember Kim from Young and Hungry. That was a ABC Family show. What was she on? She was on Raising Whitley, Act Your Age, Black Dynamite, Young and Hungry, Next Friday, Deliver Us from Eva. So she's also been in a number of different movies and TV shows. But so the two of them came out, and they were talking about how they think that the criticism that Karen Bass has been getting, that Mayor Karen Bass is getting, is because she's a Black woman in America. And I was like, are we fucking did I just fall out of a coconut tree? They're like, "Oh, it's okay. She's a Black woman in America, and that's why people are being so much harsher on her. Why isn't anybody going to the mayor of Malibu? Why isn't it?" Well, I don't know. Maybe because the mayor of Malibu seemed to be a little more prepared for this. And so they're like, "Why are they picking on Karen Bass?" I don't know. Maybe because her city's on fire. Maybe because she was in Ghana while the city was getting lit up. She was in Ghana for an inauguration of one of their leaders, when it's like, what the fuck does that have to do with Los Angeles? Why are you in Ghana? Why are you on a city finance trip to Ghana to celebrate somebody else's inauguration? You're not part of the federal government. If the federal government wants to bargain and work with other countries, cool, good for them. But you, nah. And then people are mad at Rick Caruso because Rick Caruso decided he was going to hire private fire department to come out to the Palisades and make sure his mall or his shopping center didn't burn down. I'm not mad at Rick Caruso. I voted for him. I wanted him over Karen Bass, but the rest of Los Angeles did not agree with me, and that's okay. Now I hope they will wake up to it. But like, he was smart. He was like, let me get some extra firefighters and let me protect my buildings, There you go. Yeah, Bose from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She lost her home. I know she posted about that. She's the newbie on Beverly Hills. That was really sad and unfortunate. Um, so yeah, blame the other mayors. I mean, yes, the other mayors absolutely deserve heat as well, but she's the mayor of Los Angeles. She's the one that, we should, her and Newsom. I mean, Newsom, I think, is getting just as much, if not more, heat than Karen Bass. And it's not because she's a black woman in America. It's because she's an incompetent fucking idiot with a Joker smile that sits there and wants to tell the people of Los Angeles that she knows their pain and she feels their grief. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. Sorry. Not sorry. No, we should absolutely hold our leaders accountable, regardless if they're Democrat or Republican. I don't give a fuck what party you're on, you know? Sorry, don't care what party you're affiliated with. If you're failing the city, if you're failing the state, then yeah, I want to call you out because you have failed the people. It's just it's wild to me, especially because all of these people that are like, no, don't get mad at Karen Bass, don't get mad at Gavin Newsom. Shut the fuck up. Because if this were a Republican governor, if this were a Republican mayor of the city, you would be ripping them apart. I just happen to not give a shit what party they're affiliated with. What I give a shit is helping the people right now. And I don't think that Gavin Newsom is literally campaigning right now. I know to everybody else outside of California, they're like, oh, look at him. He's doing so much. No, you see him doing so much because he's doing all of these interviews because he wants to battle misinformation. No, you know what he's doing? He's campaigning. He wants to make sure that you see him as a competent leader so that when it comes time for him to make his presidential run, that you're like, oh yeah, he saved LA from all the fires. Bullshit. Nobody in Los Angeles likes him right now. And if anybody does like him right now, they're literally delusional. And the fact that so many people that are in the Democratic Party that are now starting to see this, that are now starting to wake up, and we're like, what the fuck? We should have been prepared. We should have handled the brush rather than the smelt fish. Is what it is, you know? Sorry, not sorry. He's literally campaigning. That's what the news won't tell you. The news will give him 5 minutes to sit there and talk about how great he is. But what the news is not going to tell you is that he's literally campaigning. He's literally astroturfing. Yeah, we learned that term from Blake Lively, astroturfing. Even his website, his Firefax website, I went on there and it's literally a photo of him in front of the fires. And it's like, it's so performative. It's bonkers to me. It's just, but I will say, just seeing people come out and show up for LA right now is really powerful, and I'm glad. And Yvette Nicole Brown and Kim Whitley, who I actually like because I've enjoyed both of their shows and their films. But shut up. This is not about race. This is not time to throw in the race card and to do all that shit. We did it. We did all that. We listened. I'm sick of it. We're not going to throw that card down every time something feels unfair to you. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to hold people accountable regardless of their race and regardless of their gender. Gavin Newsom is the most pompous, arrogant, rich white man, and I will hold him just as much to the fire as we do the Joker. What's her name? Karen Dumbass. Both of them at the same time. Burn them both. I've disliked Gavin Newsom a lot longer than I've disliked Karen Bass, though, because I didn't really know much about Karen Bass. This is the first time I've really seen her, come out here and do anything interesting or notable. But, here we are. Here we are. It's not about race. So let's stop playing that card. Let's stop even bringing that into the conversation, because at this point, I mean, come on. If our mayor is a black woman, she's the mayor of Los Angeles. That is an important role to fulfill. That should be, that's progress right there, that we even have a female mayor that's also black. That is progress. But if she's incompetent, then yeah, we need to call out her incompetence. Sorry. It's just, yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis also spoke out recently. I want to apologize to Jamie Lee Curtis because I saw that she was on Jimmy Kimmel, and she was like, oh my God, I'm doing this interview right now. And it's so sad because my house is literally burning down. And I left a comment and I was just like, oh my God, she's literally in the air conditioned, Jimmy Kimmel studio filming to promote her film, and I was like, oh, really, Jamie, you're going to cry about your house burning down. And I will listen, it was like a flippant in the moment, just like I'm so irritated with this whole situation that I commented something like not mean, but it was just like, really, she's going to talk about it as she's at Jimmy Kimmel right now and not like where these other people are without a home. But since then, Jamie Lee Curtis, she donated $1 million and she continues to kind of bring awareness to this while she's on her tour or her press tour for her new movie, The Last Showgirl, that she stars alongside Pamela Anderson. And so she was talking about it. She was doing her press tour and she was saying that like the fires in LA, she compared them to Gaza and kind of like the destruction in Gaza. And some people are kind of giving her heat for making that comparison. They're like, Gaza is a little different than Los Angeles. You can't really compare the two. I get that it was maybe like a little tone deaf of a comment, but I think the sentiment was there, right? And I think she means well in saying that like she's also seen the failure of, what's going on here in California. So yeah, it's interesting. So I did want to apologize. But yeah, it seems like, and as Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag have come out and said, they're planning a class action lawsuit, and we're going to get to the bottom of how this happened. And I will tell you right now, we're not going to get the truth. We're not going to get the truth because if there was any accountability on Newsom or there was any accountability on Mayor Bass, they're absolutely going to deflect and manipulate the narrative and try to get you to understand how it wasn't their fault. We saw LA Chief Crowley speak out against how she'd been asking for additional resources and she'd been asking for additional support, showed a letter that came out that showed that just as most recently as December, there was a letter requesting additional support for the fire department. So it's like, I believe her. I believe Chief Crowley. I believe when she's in tears saying like our leaders have failed us, when the reporter's asking her, have your leaders failed you? Have your leaders failed you? And she's tearing up and she doesn't want to say it, but she's like, yeah, they have. And then to hear she got reprimanded, not only did we hear that, in news reports, but I also may or may not know people on the inside that were telling me, ooh, there was a big meeting today and Chief almost got fired. So, and then you see their body language when Bass and Crowley are together, and you can just see that there's some deep resentment in there. But we know Bass is going to do everything she can to protect her position, and that's the unfortunate part. So, but yes. Oh, you played Heidi Montag's. Yes, guys. So Heidi Montag and Spencer Pratt, they're trying to like rebuild right now. So everybody's been listening to Heidi Montag's music. You say I'm superficial. Some call me a bitch. I'm just glad because I'm sexy, famous, and I'm rich. They rock the latest fashions and I rock the latest trends. Girls say I'm competing because it really wanna see me. Okay. I want to address this comment. Sick of maggots blaming everything on Democrats. It's a natural tragedy. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. This is not you're going to get me real fucking pissed off. This is not a natural tragedy. I don't hear the words that are coming out of my mouth right now because shit like this is what pisses me off. I am not MAGA. These people that are now getting pissed off about what's going on in Los Angeles are not fucking MAGA, okay? So what I'm going to tell you, I'm try to calm myself, okay, because I'm getting a little activated. This is not a natural disaster. I am watching this unfold before my eyes. So don't you dare come into my comments and try to gaslight me when the people of Los Angeles are watching this unfold before our own eyes. We are not MAGA, okay? We are people that are watching this before our eyes, okay? There's nothing natural about this. Are there natural contributions? Sure. The wins, do they contribute to this? Absolutely. But there is nothing, it is so hard to come on these platforms every day and to have people that think they know what the fuck is going on from their couch in Minnesota and be like, you don't understand how fire science works. Shut the fuck up. I'm sick of it, you guys. Like, it's just like, that's not even the priority right now, but it's like everybody's lives are being upended. So to brand us or to label us as just MAGA crazy extremists is ridiculous. I understand where Sara Foster's like, I'm a hard Democrat here, so don't dismiss me as right wing. I'm tired of people then throwing the race card and saying we can't We can't fucking be critical of our mayor because she's a Black woman, and we suddenly can't give her any criticism for that because then it is suddenly all about race. Like, these arguments are stupid, they're ridiculous, they're bullshit, and I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. I'm just not. It's ridiculous. It's truly fucking ridiculous. Holding people accountable is not the same thing as being a crazy Trumper. It's just not. Sorry. Droughts and winds have been existing. This is not natural, not left, not right. Exactly. So, yeah, it's just like, it's so irritating when people come in here and they say such stupid, ignorant shit like that. And it's like, then you want to accuse people like me of making this political? Your fucking dumbass is making this political by going in there and throwing out the maggot term, right? It's insane. It's truly insane. I am here. I watched it happen. The winds 100 miles per hour has knocked down the electrical down. Where? Please tell me where you live and where you witnessed that. The only connection to any of the fires that has been connected to a power line has been the Eaton fires, not the Palisades fires, not the Hollywood Hills fires. Not so. I want to know what part of town you are in where you watched the power lines go down. Please tell me, because the only place that is suspicion there where there's suspicion of this being linked to the power lines is the Eaton fires all the way in Altadena, Pasadena. So unless your ass lives in Altadena, Pasadena, and saw that happen, right? Because doesn't make sense that happened in the Palisades, nor does that make sense that it happened in the Hollywood Hills or Studio City or all the other little fires that were going on throughout the valley. But again, for you to come in here with your MAGA bullshit, like, fuck off. The reality is places like LA are not going to be well prepared like us in Jackson Hole because we constantly fight these fires every year. But so do we. I mean, fires pop up in LA. Like, that's not nothing. And like I said, in California, the two things that we should absolutely be prepared for are fires and earthquakes. I'm getting too heated in this, and it's too personal and it's too tough. And I know that, like, I'm in the weeds of it and I'm in the middle of it right now, and it's just it's tough, you know? Danielle in the live chat says, I unfortunately have to defend myself every day for being a MAGA and being a Republican because ignorant people make assumptions that they don't know me or they don't know my values or beliefs at all. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, you know? Right now, we should not be divided about whether we're red or blue right now. Right now, we should just come together and actually try to help the people that need help right now. That's why, not as much as I'm running my mouth, I'm collecting donations and I'm trying to get people to. I mean, I have a fundraiser on Instagram right now, donating to the LA Fire Department. I've been collecting Venmo donations and picking up supplies that we're going to be donating. I've been trying to bring as much awareness as I possibly can. You know, my friend Donna Bowling, she runs her mouth just as much as I do, and she's also out there on the grounds putting these, packages together and trying to help victims of the fires. So, it's not that we don't care, and it's not that we want to come out here and put out some political agenda. It's that the reality of where we're in is this devastating place. Brian says, I donated to the LAFD. Yep, thank you. It's wild. Okay, anything else about the fires? I guess that's all of it. Jamie Lee Curtis, Lala, Jillian Michael, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Spencer and Heidi. But I mean, if you guys want to support Spencer and Heidi, stream Heidi Montag's music. It's actually good. 5G, lightning, high speed. Want you to fuck me in 5G, 5G, 5G. She's got good music. Go support them. Listen, they have 2 babies. Like, that's easy to do. You don't have to give any money. You don't have to donate anything. Just put her music on in the background and just like bop to it, right? Ways to help people that can, that can use our help right now, Lightning, high speed, want you to fuck me in 5G. Lightning, high speed, want you to fuck me in 5G. 5G, 5G, 5G. Heidi beating Bad Bunny and Wicked is amazing. I know. I mean, Wicked's held strong long enough, They've held strong long enough. Be Strong is another great charity. Yes, Brittany, thank you. Be Strong is another great charity. Here's what I will say about Be Strong, though. I was a big proponent of Be Strong, but Be Strong isn't, I don't believe they're here on the ground yet, but they've been collecting supplies that they plan to bring in to help these fire victims. What I will say is a lot of these local shelters and a lot of these organizations are being overwhelmed. I think some of them are no longer accepting clothes, um, because of the overwhelm that of stuff that's coming in. So, like, water is really important, or masks are really important because people are closer into the fires at these shelters. They don't want to breathe in a lot of that smoke. So there are other pet food. I mean, my God, I've been buying pet food and wanting to donate that because I can't even imagine all the poor animals that are stranded right now, or scared and don't know what's going on, and it's just crazy. And we also have the Northern California fires as well. Oh, okay, so Be Strong is on the ground. Okay, they are on the ground now. Okay, good. And they're doing cash cards. I know Be Strong is giving out cash cards, so that's good. Michelle says, I agree with you, but hated Donna's comment about Democrat friends are finally waking up. No, I think her comment was pretty spot on. Like, I think, coming from being raised, well, I guess I had family on both ends, Republican and Democrat, but I think a lot of times a lot of people were very much asleep to politics and just kind of like, I identify liberally or I identify conservatively. And so I'm going to vote one way and only that way. And I'm just going to vote down the line that way. And I think people are waking up in the sense that um, they're now starting to see that they need to be more conscious of what they're voting for. And it shouldn't be red or blue. It should be based on policies and person, right? Policies and politicians are what we should be paying attention to. I mean, I hate even saying politicians because I feel like we're trying to get away from politicians. And that's how you have people like fucking Trump who get into office, is because he's so anti-politician, you know? He's so not he's the antithesis of what we believe a politician to be, which I think has resonated with a lot of people. Um, so yeah. Okay. Karen Huger. So if you want to get into some Housewives news, Karen Huger, um, she skipped out, I guess, on the Potomac reunion. This is a bit of old news from like last week, but I know with all the Blake Lively and the fire stuff, we didn't get to cover much of it. But she skipped the Potomac reunion because apparently she's in rehab. We know that she was arrested on DUI. She was arrested for a DUI, her second DUI. She was fighting it in court and ultimately was found guilty. We saw all of the footage. We saw all of the body cam footage that looked really bad for her. So unfortunately, I don't think it was looking good for her. I think she went into rehab for two reasons, or a couple reasons. One, to absolve herself of responsibility at the reunion. If you don't show up to the reunion, obviously you don't have to be held accountable. Number one. And two, she can use rehab because she's like, I have to prioritize my health. I have to prioritize my mental space, whatever. So I think that was an easy cop out for her. I think she's also going to rehab so that when it comes time for her sentencing, she can show, look at, I've already made, big progress. I've already taken steps to, you know, um, I've already taken steps to make improvements. I've already taken accountability and responsibility, and look at me, I'm being proactive. So I think it's one, to help her sentencing, and two, so that she doesn't have to face her cast or have to talk about any of the body cam footage that's come out that makes her look really bad. I mean, she's like stumbling out of the police car. She's saying that they're doing this because of race and that she's Thomas Jefferson's concubine. It was wild. She was lit. She was so drunk. And it's crazy. And she was just like, what? Somebody drove me off the road. And it's like, no, you're hammered. It's wild. But so she skipped the reunion, and those are my thoughts. I think it's to absolve herself of accountability. She doesn't want to have to face her cast members. She doesn't want to have to talk about it publicly because that's going to be humiliating for her. She can look good by going to rehab, and she can help her sentencing by showing the judge that she's being proactive. I'm hoping that it is a positive start, but her history, second DUI, fighting this in court, wanting to appeal the jury's decision, like all of those things don't sound like somebody that wants to take accountability for their actions. So, yeah. And then Jennifer Aydin. So there was this story that came out, was it last weekend? She was at Jersey Mike's, and it was the airport Jersey Mike's, and she was trying to get a sandwich, and she said that they were just being super slow, and there was like this old lady that was cutting the bread, and she's like, oh my God, she was taking so long to cut the bread. And then she was fighting with this guy, because she's claiming that she tried to order another sandwich. And in trying to order another sandwich, they told her that she was going to have to get back in line and wait a little longer. And she was upset about that because she's just like, I don't want to have to wait any longer. Like, I want to just order my sandwich now for my son, blah, blah, blah. And so the guy behind her is like, you have to get back. And if they're telling you have to get back in line, you have to get back in line. And so her and this guy get into a fight, and he's just like, look at you and your fake diamonds. And she's like, these aren't fake diamonds. I am a celebrity. These are real diamonds. And you don't even know. And I am a celebrity. I hope you see me on your For You page and all this stuff. And then she's ranting. She's like, and this woman, she was so slow and they wanted to make me get back in line. And I just, blah, blah, blah. She's like ranting about the staff. She's ranting about this guy. She's ranting about how slow this old lady's cutting the bread and people are dragging her for it, right? Because she's like, I'm a celebrity. My diamonds are real. Screw you guys, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, this is tactless. It's tone deaf. It looks so bad on her. And so she came out to Us Weekly and she is apologizing, or we're not apologizing. She's saying that she would not have posted it, or if she does post anything crazy moving forward, she's going to post it behind a paywall so that it doesn't blow up and people don't get crazy about it. But she's like, that was absolutely the wrong place and time. She's like, but listen, at the end of the day, like, I wasn't upset as a celebrity, as D-list as I am. She acknowledged that she's D-list. She's like, I wasn't upset as a celebrity. I was upset as a mother. I was trying to get a sandwich for my son. And as a mother, I was, upset by that, which was dumb. Truly dumb. Truly, truly dumb. I'm just over Jennifer Aydin. I really am. It wasn't much of an apology. It was just like I was just a mom trying to feed my child. It's like, Kim, there are people that are dying. Like, get over yourself. Her interview was even worse. Yeah, Mallory, her interview like made it that much worse. Like, she should have never said anything and let this all die down. Blake Lively, know when to not say anything. So yeah. That's the little bit of Housewives updates. Brittany says LA officials have confirmed that Trump will be visiting the wildfire areas. Get ready, California, also making moves before inauguration. This is the action blessed. Listen, here's what I hope, right? I hope Newsom and Trump can come together, right? Republican, Democrat, they've been at war. What I hope for our country and for, this situation right now, I hope that both Trump and Newsom can come together, put politics aside, and just work together, right? I know a lot of people have trepidation about Trump coming into office. All we can do right now is just hope for the best, okay? And hold people accountable, but continue to hope for the best. And so I really do hope. I know Governor Newsom, I know Trump has been very critical of Newsom, and I know Newsom has made it very clear that he wants to fight Trump every step of the way. We had a fucking meeting here in California about how to handle Trump when he comes into office, and we've set aside $25 million for legal warfare to fight Trump. And I'm just like, bro, maybe we should use that 25 mil and give it to the fire department, and like when Trump, if and when there needs to be legal warfare against Trump, then do that, like then gear up for that. But as of right now, like, let's let the priorities not like, we're setting $25 million aside because we're already preparing to go into legal warfare with the incoming president. Like, let's try to work together. Also, you having a meeting in the middle of Los Angeles being on fire, crazy. Maybe you have a meeting on like how we can reallocate resources to help the victims of the fire right now. Not let's have a meeting to find out how we're going to fight the incoming administration. I think it's a good thing that he's coming to town. I'm hoping that he and Newsom can work together and find some sort of solution. Listen, that's the governor of California and the president of the United States, or president-elect. He will be our president in a few days, but like, that's power right there. And I'm hoping that we can bring some sort of help and assistance to the people. Leslie says Trump has said multiple times that he'd refuse aid to states that fight him on anything. That's weird. That's actually not true. I know that that's a media misrepresentation of things that he has said. That's not entirely true. There have been, I looked into that myself because I was just like, look, are we going to be screwed in California? That's not true. And I think he's been very clear about trying to help California. I believe, listen, it is what it is. We're in the position that we're in. I'm not going to go and try to even defend him. I'm just hoping for the best for the people that need assistance right now. And that's all we could do. We need a new governor. That we do. Listen, I tried to get people to see how terrible Gavin Newsom was. I voted to recall him. But listen, it is what it is. We're at where we're at. We have who we have. We just have to make the best of it. I think you should pack a suitcase and head to the Hill. These politicians could learn a thing or two. Yeah, right. Could you imagine? Newsom needs to do the right thing, an honorable thing, and step down. Yeah, people are saying that he's the California version of Justin Trudeau, because Trudeau just stepped down. Listen, we'll have to see how this goes. He wants to help California get rid of Newsom so that we can thrive again. I mean, I would like to get rid of Newsom and dumb bass. Gavin Newsom fancies himself as Bill Clinton 2.0. Well, let's not say that. It is interesting though, because I feel like no matter how liberal or conservative you are, people are very united in the fact that we are not happy with Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, with exception for the people who are like, oh, well, she's a Black woman, and that's, that's why people hate on her. No, that's not why I hate on her. Has anyone heard from Heather McDonald? She and her family, are they safe? I haven't personally spoken to Heather, but I've seen she's still been podcasting. She reached out to me last week and invited me to come back on Juicy Scoop later this month. So I like your way of thinking, Zack. When I'm in the thick of it, I don't start pointing fingers. I do what I can to find solutions and only sitting there instead of only sitting there complaining. Yeah. Oh my God, Justin is the worst. Oh, Trudeau, embarrassed as a Canadian. I don't know much about Trudeau, to be honest with you. I haven't followed much Canadian politics, so I don't know why he stepped down. I don't know why the people are unhappy with him. Don't know much about Trudeau at all, TBH. He's a cutie, though. If he needed a new Monica Lewinsky, I wouldn't mind sneaking into, what do they have in Canada? They don't have the White House. What do they have in Canada? Oh, Arizona. Heather McDonald's in Arizona right now. Got it. So she's not even in LA. She came to Arizona. All you need to know about Justin Trudeau is he's hot. He is a cutie. Um, I'd let him Monica Lewinsky me. Honestly, when I saw a fire at the Santa Monica Mountain Ridge line, I got my ass out of town the weekend. Yeah. Listen, I get it. I get it. Okay. That said, I think that's everything. We talked a little bit about Housewives news. We talked a little bit about. Listen, I would absolutely be the new Monica Lewinsky. I know how to spin that into a Kim Kardashian sex tape extravaganza. You know. It's the new. Yeah. Okay, guys, if you're watching this right now, hit the like button. Leave me a nice review on Apple Podcasts if you're enjoying the podcast. The ratings and the reviews really, really do help. I think I'm coming into this week, which usually we dip a little bit because there are no new episodes. Oh my God, the reviews are coming in. Please keep them coming, guys. But yeah, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, or you can listen and watch on YouTube where it's live streamed, and then the broadcast is available on Spotify as well. So you can watch the full clean audio and video, all available on Spotify. You can watch the show on the Spotify app. It's completely free. You can listen for free on Apple Podcasts, or you can watch the live stream weekday mornings, Monday through Friday on YouTube. Here on YouTube. So hit the like button, leave a comment, be sure to subscribe. I need to get better at doing that because I feel like there are so many people that tune into the show, and I'm like, I want you guys to continue to come back, to continue to come back. So yeah. Bell says, Zack, this disaster impacts Hollywood and politics. You can't be naive to the powerhouses that have bots online planting crazy distractions and causes and baiting and spinning and hating. Woo-saw. That's me. I'm one of the bots that's planting things. I'm a hired bot. Zack, we need to get you to 100K. I got 100K on Instagram. Yes, we do need to hit 100K on YouTube. So, guys, if you're listening to this and if you like the Blake Lively coverage, if you like the Fire coverage, if you like Housewives coverage, whatever it is that you're watching this for, you can continue to tune in live streaming here every morning on YouTube, Monday through Friday, and available on all podcast platforms. So definitely be sure to come on in, support, subscribe, all the things. All right. You can give me a follow at Just Plain Zack all over the internet. Just Plain Zack. My name is Zack Peter, so you can look up Zack Peter on X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I don't know what's happening with TikTok. I feel like I am finally starting to put efforts into TikTok, and I'm just starting to see my TikTok pick up, and now TikTok's about to be banned. So Well, Janelle, we'll have to see where it goes. But give me a follow on Instagram. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack on Instagram. And stay tuned. More tea to come. We need an unhinged members only. I know, but I'm not drinking right now. Maybe I'll like take an edible and we do need an unhinged members only. We'll get one this week, Brian, because I know we've been behind on members only, but the world's just been in. This is a crisis mode. So keeps activated. Listen, I got a little too activated here. You're late on TikTok. I am late on TikTok, but I mean, listen, now that I'm using it and popping off on it, now it's going away. So now I'm not that worried. All right, guys. Love you. Mean it. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, 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 bye. Leave a review, please. Ratings and reviews. All day. All right. Ciao for now, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye, 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 bye.